Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we're inside today because it's only in the 20s outside right now. And for us here in southern Missouri, that is pretty darn cold and we're pretty wimpy. Now I know some of you who live in places like Canada or northern Wisconsin or Minnesota, you're probably laughing and you'd probably be happy with the 20s. But for us, it's pretty cold, so we're going to spend a good part of the day inside today, except for the things we have to do outside.
But we've had a really warm fall so far, and I've been really excited and anticipating for the weather to cool down. So the cool weather is here, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah. Last Thursday, it was actually 72 degrees, and today it's in the 20s. So things change quickly around here. That's kind of one of the things about being right in the middle of the country is that sometimes you get the weather that comes from the north and sometimes you get weather from the south, and so it makes things interesting sometimes.
But some exciting news revolving around the weather. We just had snow 2 days ago.
Right.
It was so fun. The kids were so excited. Kevin's parents were so excited.
Yeah, they just moved here from Arizona, and so they lived in Wisconsin most of their lives, but it's been 11 years since they've seen snow, so this was exciting for them to see some snow. This
time of year, our two beagles are also permanently laying by the wood stove. You may have heard the tip-tap of Rosie. She just came and laid down by the wood stove. It's so funny to see how much they love the warmth.
Well, since we're inside today, we thought this would be the perfect time to answer some of your questions. About once a month or so, we like to do one of these videos where we answer questions that you guys have directly asked us. It's actually been about 6 weeks since we've done one, so we've got some questions to answer today, a wide variety of topics. Let's get started.
Well, we've been talking a lot lately about our calf, Henry, and our last two videos prior to this actually were about him. He's been very, very sick, so we would like to talk quickly about how he's doing. We've been getting lots of questions about how is Henry doing.
It's been about 10 days now that Henry has been sick. We've been doing everything we possibly can to try to get him better. For those of you who haven't been following along all the time, we found Henry about 10 days ago and he had bloated. When we found him, he was extremely bloated. We called the vet out. They did a bunch of different things to try to make him better. It worked a little bit, but he still isn't doing really great. We've been doctoring him back. We've been, giving him medicine and all types of things for the last 10 days.
This morning, well, every morning really, we feel like he's looking a little bit better, but definitely not like back to normal.
Right.
So we're still hopeful that he's going to make a recovery, but things are definitely slow going.
For about the first week or so that he was sick, we actually moved Hope and the other calf and her hay and everything up by the barn, and we kind of kept them confined up by the barn. But after, a week or so of that, we can't just keep them in that small area forever. So about 2 days ago, we actually moved Hope's hay back out into the pasture, opened the gate up, and we've been letting all three of them back out into the pasture. And we're actually pretty surprised to see that even though Henry still looks like he doesn't feel real well, he's been pretty active. We've seen him, far away from the barn, walking around. And so at this point, we're just kind of leaving it to see what happens.
Right, we're letting nature take its course. We're just seeing what he can handle.
All of the medicines are now out of his system. He hasn't been running a fever anymore, which is good. The antibiotics should have been out of his system yesterday. So now it's just up to his body to see what will happen, see if his body can fight it off, and we'll just kind of keep watching him. As long as he doesn't seem to be in any pain or suffering in any way, we're not going to make any decisions about what we're going to do. We'll just need to play that kind of, day by day as we move into the future. There was one thing we wanted to clarify with you guys, though, because we've gotten this question a lot on our videos about Henry. A lot of you were asking, because we said that when we initially found him sick or bloated, that he was at the bottom of a hill. A lot of you were asking if we thought it could be some type of injury from him falling down the hill. Just to clarify, he didn't fall down a hill, he didn't roll down a hill, he didn't fall off a cliff or anything like that. The hill that we were talking about is actually a hill that they have a trail that they can climb down.
Right, yeah. They just go up and down this hill all the time. That's just what they do. So it was pretty normal for him to be down there, but it wasn't normal for him to be sick down there.
Right.
Yeah.
So we found him at the bottom of the hill on the trail that they have to get down there. It just happened to be that once he was down there and bloated, because he was in pain, he didn't feel like coming back up.
Right.
So just to clarify, that's why we don't think there's any injury, that we don't think that's what caused any of these problems, and neither does the vet.
Right, there's no trauma or anything. Another question that we've been getting recently, because we've been showcasing the cows so much, the cattle, is whether or not we provide any kind of shelter or way for our beef cattle to get out of the weather, the rain, the snow, the wind.
Now we have 10 beef cows on our property. They're a mix of Limousin and Hereford cattle. We have all females, all cows, and they were originally part of a larger group of cows that were on this property when we purchased the property. We decided to keep the 10 youngest cows.
These 10 cows are part of generations and generations of the same closed herd for the past 20 years or more that have just been on this property. We decided to keep back 10 of them when the previous owners moved that herd off of the property.
To answer the question about whether or not we provide them with any shelter, for the most part the answer is no. Now they always have kind of wooded areas that they can get into to lay under the trees and get out of the rain, and there is a small lean-to off the back of one of our barns that they can get into depending on what paddock they're in. But for the most part, in this part of the country where we live, people don't provide much shelter for their beef cows. Our winters aren't that harsh, and so there really isn't a need for them to be able to get out of the elements.
This part of Missouri really is cattle country, beef cattle country. Every road, country road, state highway, you go down and there are beef cattle. And generally, people aren't putting up buildings or any kind of structures for their beef cattle. They do amazingly in the winter and in all the kinds of weather. They're just really grazing on whatever they have out there all year long.
Right. This time of year we're feeding hay. Right now we're feeding one of the big round bales about every 3 to 4 days for the 10 cows that we have. So they don't forage quite as much as they do during the summertime. They like to stay closer to where the hay is, but they definitely get out and they wander around, and like during the snow, they will lay under a tree or something that gives them a little bit of protection, but that's really about it. In fact, I think they actually enjoy this time of year more than they do the summer.
The heat of the summer.
I think the heat of the summer is much harder on them.
I agree.
Plus that time of year they have the flies and everything else. I think this time of the year is actually the time of the year that the cattle seem the happiest.
Right. We've been talking in several of our videos, even as far back as the summer, about Kevin's parents staying with us this summer, and then they decided to sell their place in the Phoenix, Arizona area and move here permanently. They're staying at the small house that's part of the larger piece of land that we purchased this spring. Anyway, because we've been talking about them, we've been getting questions about my family. What's going on with my family? Where are they? Do they come and visit? So I just thought
Are they moving here?
You're right. So I just thought I would take an opportunity to talk with you guys about my family, since most of the time we talk about Kevin's family just because they're here now. So my family is kind of spread across the United States. My mom lives in Wisconsin. She lives in the Sturgeon Bay area, and she's caring for my aunt. So the two of them live there. My dad lives in Northern Illinois, part of the Quad Cities, and my sister lives in the Wichita, Kansas area. She and her husband live there. Because of all the COVID-19 stuff, we haven't been able to see them very much. They're not traveling. We don't do a lot of traveling because of our lifestyle here and all of our animals and gardens and things like that. So it's been kind of hard that we haven't seen them in really over a year now, because nobody could plan that this COVID-19 stuff was going to be happening. But we do stay in touch through the computer, FaceTiming and Zooming, and they stay up to date with what we're doing here on the homestead because they watch our videos just like you guys. And you know, they follow our Instagram account and Facebook and those kinds of things. So that's the story about my family.
Luckily, we're living in a time where it is easier to stay in touch even when you're further apart. So that is kind of nice. One question that we get a lot is kind of, what do we do during the off season, during the winter months when things aren't growing and things like that? First of all, there really is no off season when you're living this lifestyle. Every season has something to keep you busy. Now, one of the things we really like about where we live, this part of the country, is that, like we were talking about with the cows, the winters aren't super harsh. So we actually do a lot of outside projects, you know, the maintenance type projects in the winter.
Right.
It's easy to get outside. There's very few days like we're having today where we feel like it's too cold to go outside. We have most of our winter is perfect weather for working outside.
Right. You can't beat doing outside building projects when the highs are in the mid 40s.
Right, 50s.
Low 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just absolutely perfect.
Right.
And this time of year, all the leaves are gone, the brushy areas are gone, so you can really get into like wooded kinds of areas to get your work
Right.
done.
There's no ticks this time of
Oh,
year.
yeah, no mosquitoes.
Which is great.
Yes.
So, but on days like this, where we do feel like we need to stay inside more, the main thing that we work on days like this is planning for the next growing season. And that's exactly what we're doing today, actually, is we're starting to plan for next gardening season, and we're starting to plan the new orchard that we're going to be putting down on our new property.
This time of year is also super exciting, which is why we start planning this time of year, is this is when all the seed catalogs start coming in the mail, and it's just so exciting to page through the seed catalogs and start planning your year for the next growing season. Along the same lines, we get a lot of questions about where we order a lot of our seeds. So I just want to share with you real quick the two main places that we order seeds from. Now, mostly we get our seeds from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. They have 2 catalogs out right now. You can order this one online for free. It is kind of a condensed catalog of what they're offering.
But it still has a ton of stuff in it.
Yes, and then their whole seed catalog this year is 500 pages. You have to pay for this one. This year it is $12.95, but this is a magnificent resource.
Right, and it's so much more than just a catalog. They have articles
Right.
and there's more to it than just a catalog.
Absolutely. So I spend hours and hours of my time in the evenings and on cold, chilly days like this leafing through here. I am a creature of habit, so generally I find like one kind of seed that I like to plant for the rest of my life, but I still do love to page through here. Overall, we try to grow mostly from heirloom seeds, which is why we mostly order from Baker Creek. But there are some hybrid varieties of plants that we grow, mostly tomatoes. And our favorite tomato, like we've shared for years, is the Jetstar tomato. We get lots of questions. Where do you get those Jetstar seeds? And that is from a company called Totally Tomatoes.
Now, you can find Jetstar seeds from other companies as well. This just happens to be where we order from, but that it's not a variety that's specific to them.
Right, and they're from Wisconsin, and we are originally also, so I kind of feel a little homage to them. So.
Right. Now, Totally Tomatoes doesn't just have tomato seeds. They have a lot of other things as well. So this is definitely a resource that we use for anything that isn't from Baker Creek.
Right. So those are really the primary 2 resources that we will be using to order seed and to help us plan our growing season for next year.
Where do you guys order your seeds from? Leave it in the comments below. We'd love to know. Just, there's always times when maybe one of these 2 places are out of something and we need to order from somewhere else. So if you've had good experiences with another seed company, let us know. We'd love to hear where y'all are ordering from.
Another big thing that we're working on this year, which is in the same lines as growing, is planning our next orchard. We have a small orchard here next to the house. It has about 10 orchard trees or so. They're still very young, but we've never had a larger amount of space for us to expand the orchard. But since this spring we purchased additional land, it offers an opportunity for us to expand our orchard. So that's going to be a nice big project for this spring.
We're in the process right now of really researching the types of trees that are going to do well in our area. There's certain varieties that do better here than others. There's certain diseases that we have here that we need to think about. For instance, with apple trees, we have a thing called cedar apple rust around here, which is a fungus that can, pretty much destroy your apple trees. So we need to really pick varieties that'll be resistant to some of those things. And that's the type of research that we're doing right now.
This is a perfect time to start thinking about planting orchards. The springtime and the fall are the best 2 times of the year to be planting orchard trees. So if you weren't able to plant in the fall and you still have orchard trees you want to plant, start thinking about them now because inventory goes quickly. You can order now from the nurseries and they will ship those trees to you at the right time of your climate. We love to work with Stark Brothers. They're in Missouri and they, I think, have the best orchard trees around.
Right.
That's who we're going to be working with for our entire orchard this coming spring. So if you're hoping to plant orchard trees, check them out.
Right, yeah, actually we bought all of our previous trees that we have in, we bought all of them from Stark Brothers, and
Yep.
All of them made it. Not
Absolutely.
a single tree died,
Absolutely.
so that was really good.
Absolutely. So look forward to that. That's going to be a big project for us to share this spring. We look forward to you joining us with that project, and we're excited to reveal to you the tree varieties that we end up choosing.
Speaking of gardens and growing, one question that we've gotten a lot, and it's kind of our fault for not answering it sooner, is how is our greenhouse doing? We did a video a while back showing you guys that we were planting our winter garden in the greenhouse, but we haven't done any updates on it. So let's take a walk out to the greenhouse and we'll show you how it's going. All right, we're out in the greenhouse. We've got our big raised bed right here. Now we're not doing quite as much in the greenhouse this year as we did last year. We're really trying to focus just on this raised bed and really just on what we think we'll consume over the winter. Now we will get a second planting season starting sometime in February, and that stuff will grow into the spring. We'll probably do more at that point. So let me show you what we have going on inside of this big raised bed. So this end we planted completely with different varieties of lettuce. Let me pull this row cover out of the way so you guys can see. And you can see that it is doing really, really well. We got a little bit of cilantro coming up here as well. That actually came back from some seed from the last cilantro plants we grew last winter. But you can see this lettuce is just looking beautiful. You can see that we've already harvested some in this area. That's why these plants are now smaller. We've already cut these off once and they're starting to grow back. These plants over here, we haven't harvested any yet. Sarah and I love to have salads as part of our lunch, or a small salad with our dinner. When it's just the two of us, when the kids are at school and we need lettuce for lunch, you know, just one of these plants makes a nice sized salad for the two of us, so that is great. So we've got plenty here to get us through the winter. And then down on this end, we've got some more cilantro growing. We've got some spinach. Now our spinach didn't germinate really well, but we've got some spinach down here. We've been cutting a little bit here and there to add to our salads. And then down here we've got these beautiful radishes growing. We've got these gorgeous, well, let me pick one, I'll show you. Gorgeous icicle radishes growing. And then we've also got kind of a red version like this. They're called French breakfast radishes. They're the long ones like this, but they're red. Now we've got some kohlrabi growing, which isn't doing a whole lot yet as far as actually producing bulbs, but the leaves are absolutely awesome. Cut some of those up and put them in our salads as well. And then this whole end down here is more cilantro. And the cilantro does really well in this cold weather, so it doesn't bolt nearly as quickly as it does when you grow it in the spring, so this is a really good addition. One thing that we've discovered just recently is how much we absolutely love the radish greens. Now when we pick radishes, a lot of times we'll cut the radishes up and roast them in the oven with some avocado oil and salt and garlic powder. And then we'll take the greens and we'll actually pan fry the greens. And oh my gosh, they are so good. You guys need to try it. And that way nothing goes to waste. This is all nice, fresh food for over the winter. So this is how the greenhouse is doing. We're happy with the way it's going. We've kind of gone to a low maintenance approach for this winter just because we have a lot of other things going on, but we're able to come out here and harvest what we want when we need it.
So you guys, we hope you enjoyed spending some time with us today. We enjoyed talking with you and sharing some more about our lives here on our homestead. If you're enjoying our videos, please make sure to hit the subscribe button below so that you're notified of all of our new videos. And the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is if you would please share our videos on all your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.